he won't hear you say something. Well, I went and got up just as I was, saying good morning, behind the pulpit, good morning everyone, welcome, and that sort of thing. He apparently didn't hear me start. He sees a woman come in that he knows. I don't remember the woman's name. I'll just use Darlene. Good morning, Darlene! Yeah. Everybody in the church, I can hear Carol start laughing. Let's open tonight to 1 Kings chapter 2. 1 Kings chapter 2. When I say that we are going to be looking at the death of King David tonight, I don't want you to think, oh, it's just looking at his death, okay, we'll be out of here in 10 minutes. You ought to know better. Any one of you have been under pastors and now my teaching for a while to know that I've started taking after Pastor more. So even though we will see his look at his death and see that tonight, that is not the focus of tonight. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at, okay, the last thing that we are given, anyways, of David before it records his death is instruction. And the way I put it, instruction or advice, and kind of some requests, okay, that he gives to his son Solomon, now that Solomon is king. And as a reminder of something that we saw last week, it was extremely rare for this to ever happen, okay, not just because, he's only the second king of Israel, okay, in any kingdom, okay, the next king, the next ruler would not be crowned until that previous ruler had died. Okay, so this was something that was that never happened, but because, as we looked at it last week, because of the actions of another one of David's sons trying to take the throne, as at that point being the oldest living competent son, okay, they had to push up, we'll put it that way, okay, they had to push up the crowning of Solomon. So David had that awesome opportunity, okay, as father, even though he knew that his son Solomon was going to be the next one, having that knowledge is so much different than actually being able to see your own son crowned. Okay, so he had that wonderful opportunity. So at this point, okay, he is not only, what we're going to look at tonight, he's not only advising, we're giving advice, you could say, to a son, but he is advising the king at this point as well. So that's going to be our main focus for the majority of tonight. It's basically the smallest section of verses too that we're going to look at tonight, what we're going to be focusing on. So 1 Kings chapter 2, we'll start right in verse 1. Now the days of David let's start over. Now the days of David drew near that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be strong, therefore, and prove yourself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgments, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that you may prosper in all that you do, and wherever you turn, that the Lord may fulfill his word which he spoke concerning me, saying, if your sons take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, he said, you shall not lack a man on the throne of Israel. Okay? We're going to stop there. Those 4 verses are the, you could say, the main meat of tonight. And tonight's going to be a little bit different as well than what we normally do on Sunday nights with this type of study that we've been doing, looking at the characters. Okay? The reason why we're sort of stepping away is because this is very important, and it is something that cannot be overlooked. Okay? This is very crucial when you look at these 2 men, David and Solomon, king, father, son. Okay? This is very important that we look at this. So that's why tonight might feel a little bit different from what we normally look at. So what we are seeing here, first of all, obviously, we know just from verse 1 that David is approaching death. Now the first part that the first thing that he says to Solomon, in verse 2, I go the way of all the earth. Okay? This is as simple and as plain as what it is. Okay? He is telling Solomon, his son, I'm sure Solomon, even though he is now the king, okay, I'm sure Solomon is also probably broken up, just as any son, okay, would be seeing his father dying. Even it doesn't matter how old, the father is that is dying, okay, that really doesn't change the fact. Okay, no child likes to see their parents leave this world. Okay, so he is saying exactly what we're seeing here. Everyone has to die. Even me. But also because of this, Solomon, okay, this also means not just me, this means that one day you will die as well. There will be an end to you as well. So keep that in mind. In other words, keep it in mind because, tomorrow is not guaranteed for anyone. Okay? Not a single one of us. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, and what I mean by that, tomorrow here on earth, tomorrow being alive, okay, is not guaranteed. The one guarantee we have as Christians, if we have Christ in our hearts, okay, it's different. We do know, we have a guarantee that no matter what, it's either we're going to be alive tomorrow, okay, we're either going to be alive here, or alive with Jesus, okay, alive in heaven. Okay, it's one of those, okay, but looking at our humanity, looking at it from a humanity standpoint, even you, Solomon, you have to die someday. If being we're not guaranteed, don't know when that is. David knows, and it's already been told to him, that that Solomon will be a better king. But just because Solomon will be a better king doesn't mean that Solomon's going to reign for a huge amount of time. They don't know this, and because of that, he says, I'm now giving you some advice, some things that you need to live by. And the first thing he says is be strong. Okay, so make sure you go to the gym every day, pump iron, get big muscles. But guess what? In the Bible, any time that the word strong is used in this sense, it does not, in this sort of setting, it is not talking about strength. Okay? Be strong. In the be strong part of it, it sort of feels kind of odd going to this next passage that I'm going to bring out. And that's because, okay, David is speaking this. We're going to look at something that Solomon wrote years down the road. In Proverbs chapter 24, and this is also something a little different from Sunday nights with this study we've been doing. We're going to, there's a couple times we're going to leave the book we are currently in. Proverbs chapter 24. Now remember, we are, at this point, we are seeing something written by King Solomon, okay? The king that has been dubbed, okay, has been given the title, the wisest king, okay? Very, very wise king. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 5. A wise man is strong. Yes, a man of knowledge increases strength. Verse 6, for by wise counsel you will wage your own war, and a multitude of counselors there is safety. Okay, a wise man is strong. This strength that it is talking about here is not a physical strength. Okay, this is strength in different areas in your life. One would be in courage and action. Okay, and we can see this. Keeping your fingers busy for a couple minutes here. 1 Corinthians chapter 16. First Corinthians chapter 16 and in verse 13. Okay, and we're getting into the ending of this first book to the church in Corinth. Okay, you're getting right into the very end, just before the farewell that is given here. Okay, verse 13. Watch, stand fast in the faith. Be brave, be strong. Let all that you do be done with love. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. I wasn't supposed to read verse 14 yet. So what it's saying there, in all those things, okay, we are to be strong. As we, in your life, okay, there are many different ways that you can be strong. When you are looking at this first one, courage and action. Okay, courage and action. The reason why I kept those together and did not separate those, they really go hand in hand. Okay, when it comes, especially when it comes to Christianity. I mean, many ways in life, but especially Christianity. It can be terrifying. Okay, not it can be. I think I can guarantee it to anyone here. The first time that you have to go out, the first time that you go out and give the gospel to a stranger, or what can be even worse, maybe giving the gospel to a family member, or possibly getting, I remember the first time I ever got up to preach behind a pulpit. I think I was 16 at the time, and it was like a Sunday night setting in the church I went to. And let me tell you, I was scared to death. Okay? And I mean, in fact, I don't think I let go of that pulpit the whole time that night. I mean, to the point, I'm pretty sure I was white knuckling, holding on to that pulpit, okay? We are to, but with courage, okay? Meaning, we need to take that step in our faith. We need to really step out of our comfort zone, okay? Many people, okay, are not public speakers. They're very reserved. They're not good at talking to strangers. It's very well, they might even be the type that might go as far as in the grocery store. If it's just like, oh, I can't find this item, well, I guess that's not what I'm having for dinner tonight. They would much rather change their whole plan for dinner than to talk to somebody and ask them where an item is, okay? They might be that, you could even be that, have that much anxiety about speaking to people. However, when it comes to our Christianity and being a Christian, we need to have courage. But along with courage, you can't say that you have courage as a Christian if you don't put action along with that. Okay? With courage comes action. Another one that goes along with being, that goes under being strong, is having an inner resilience. Okay? Very popular verse in Philippians. Philippians chapter 4 and verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay? When we look at that, we tend to, it's like, oh yeah, I know that verse. Do you? Okay, and it's not when it comes to knowing, okay? We say this about God a lot, especially in this church, okay? About knowing God, and that means on an intimate level, a personal level. When we are, what we are looking at here is, and what I'm mentioning here, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There are, I think I could venture to say, millions, I think I'm safe saying that, millions of people that could quote that verse. When it comes to knowing the words of a verse and really knowing the full meaning of it are two different things. In other words, do you truly believe that verse? Okay? When it comes to having, that's what he is saying to Solomon, and having this inner resilience. Look at it with this, okay? When you are a Christian, okay, you have God, I was going to say backing you up, but no, that's wrong. When you have God leading you, okay, when you have God leading you, what does that mean? If you're looking to God for everything, then you truly can. And it really goes well with what I preached this morning out in Townsend about, that was an impossible task for David. It was David by himself, David going against Goliath, that was impossible. However, even though this Philippians 4:13 wasn't written yet, okay, he already knew, he would have already known the meaning of that, the true meaning of this, in the sense of he believed it right down to the T, and he fully understood and believed it when he went up against Goliath, because he knew, I can't do it. You know what? Goliath is puny compared to my God. God can do it. And many times, I know I have said it here, I know Pastor has said it. There might be someone that you come across in your life, whether it's a stranger who might have something in common with you that you're just not aware of at that time or whatever. Could be somebody that you've known your whole life. Could be a family member, okay? It could be, that person could have many Christians, many people share the gospel with them. But you know what? They may just need to hear it from you. Okay? You might be the one that is the one that leads them to Christ, okay? You need to be available. I keep saying you, we, okay? This is me here. This is me too here, okay? We need to be available to God. We need to truly believe that I can do all things, okay? I am not comfortable with this. No. Oh gosh, no. I mean, a good example of this, okay, is Cassie. She, back when I first met her, we first started dating and got married, she was a 100%, not, and I don't want to put this in necessarily a negative light, okay, but she was always a more behind the scenes sort of person, okay, one that you might want to help and that sort of thing. Now, she has, just taken over in the sense of VBS. That is her passion. She shared this morning that she is looking at, we're not sure exactly how soon, but having to have surgery and having to have a section of having a section of her small intestine removed, okay? And it had been brought to her that, with what you're dealing with your health, maybe you should take this year off. No. She even said this, she said, if they want to schedule the, if they wanted to schedule the surgery in any way where it would negatively affect VBS, she's going to tell them it's not possible for it to be done then. It has to wait until after, okay? This is coming, so at one point, Cassie was in that place where it was just, she was fine helping here and there, sort of keeping her head down. And I remember different times where afterwards, where she was, the way it worked with her, kind of forced at some points, forced out of her comfort zone, where she had to step out for whatever reason. And I think her thought process may have been doing it as, okay, I'm going to step out, do it, and step back in. Well, you know what? As soon as she stepped out, God's like, guess what? You got to go another step. You got to go another step. And now I might be out of the frame of the camera, so I guess I got to go back this way. And now, just in the, I say few short years, but it's been 13 years now that we have been married. So it's in this 13 years. Isn't that crazy, Ed? It's already been 13 years. Oh no, he's shaking his head like 13. That's child's play. But in that 13 years, I have seen, and I am so proud. This is one thing that was mentioned at men's breakfast and spoken about was pride yesterday morning, and the difference between a good pride and a sinful pride. And this is one thing I can say. I am proud. I am proud of how much I've seen my wife grow in the 13 years that we have been married. But anyways, that's what we all need to do, is have that inner resilience, is truly believe and allow God to use us whenever he needs us. And then we also, under be strong, is, we already looked at the verse, 1 Corinthians 16:14. I already read it, but I want to read it again real quick. We need, under being strong, It is also humility and love. 1 Corinthians 16, nope, wrong way, Nate. That's chapter 14. Let all that you do be done with love. Okay? We need to have that humble spirit and teach and share and through love and with an attitude of love. Okay? We've got all of that just in the first little tiny phrase. Be strong. That he has given, that David has given to his son Solomon. Let's see, back in verse 2. Be strong, therefore, and prove yourself a man. Let me tell you that prove yourself a man is very easily could be a series for like a little men's conference. Really is. There is a ton in that we will not dwell there tonight. But proving yourself a man, what falls under that is leadership. Okay? Of every part of your life. Joshua, what's a very popular, well-known thing that many people know, even if I'll remind you of it. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Now, unfortunately, that has become, it's another one of those things where it's become, where you could even at times go into a store, not to beat the store down, we shop there sometimes too, okay? Dollar General. Go into their, like, house decorations, whatever that section would be, what do you call it, okay? You might see a cheap little sign there that says, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, okay? It's just become, like, it's not a very important thing. It's become so almost, oh yeah, that's a pretty good saying. Okay, but there is so much to that. And saying, as for me and my house will serve the Lord, that is stepping up as a man. That is stepping up and saying, I am the leader here, and not leader with, leader in the sense of a brutal man, but one where your followers, okay, no matter who the followers would be, whether it's man of your household, the people, meaning kids and wife or whatever following you, or as well in this case, Solomon being the king of Israel and Israel following, okay? You need to prove yourself to be a man, and this is being a man that the people will follow. The next thing, verse 3, and keep the charge of the Lord your God. Keeping the charge of God, the charge that Solomon has been given is that of kingship, okay? He is being put in, when it comes to looking at Israel, at that time, he is taking over the most important role in that time frame for Israel. Okay, he is in the most critical, most important position. And so he needs to be keeping the charge of God, means leading Israel under God's direction. And then the next thing he says, walk in his ways, keeping a closeness with God. Okay? Every single time you can notice. And so this, with what David is saying here, walk in his ways, or walking God's ways, keep this closeness. David could have very well have added, or put in there, believe me, I know from experience. If you look at all those times when David faltered, and that are recorded, what went along with that? It was times when he took his eyes off God. He did not have God first and foremost. Okay? He's telling Solomon, keep that closeness with God. Keep your eyes on God. And then he goes and lists a few things. Keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgments, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses. Okay, he's saying, look, all of these different ways, all of these different things, these commands, all of this that you know and that you will be given, okay, you need to adhere to those. Just as this really goes well with proving yourself a man, okay, as leaders of a home, or in this case, leaders of the nation of Israel, we are to make sure that we are steering our families, or for him also the nation of Israel, making sure you're steering them right. And that can only be done if you are keeping God's statutes, commandments, judgments, testimonies, all of this. Now, okay, well, real quickly here, why? Why exactly is this stuff that we just looked at, that we just talked about, why is it important? The first positive thing that comes from this, right at the end of verse 3, that you may prosper in all that you do and wherever you turn, okay? This is essentially, I mean, this is sort of a, I could say cheesy way of saying it, but God takes care of his own. In other words, if you are following God, okay, this is not to say that as a Christian you're going to have it easy, because no, the enemy's going to come after you even harder once you accept Christ into your heart, okay? But what he is saying is that you keep God's commandments. You keep his statutes. You keep his judgments, his testimonies. You lead. You lead the nation of Israel. You lead your family. You lead your home. You keep that closeness with God. The blessing will be wonderful that comes along with that. I mean, I guarantee you that Solomon would never have believed it, would never have even been thought of, that his name would go down in history, even outside of the Bible, okay, when it comes to his riches. There are still, Hollywood still makes movies on the mysteries of there being a King Solomon's mine somewhere. Okay, essentially it's supposedly this huge cavern underground that is that holds all of the wealth of King Solomon. Okay, I mean, would he have ever been able to guess that through history that would have that would be going down? No, but see, that is something that he was able to enjoy. That's one of the things. Besides, of course, the great wisdom, which we at a later time we will look at that when we are looking at Solomon as a man as well. But so you have prosperity, but what's one of the other good things, or why should he be doing these things we've looked at? Verse 5, moreover wrong verse. Verse 4, that the Lord may fulfill his word, which he spoke concerning, so what God wants to happen, all these things that God said will happen, it will happen. If you keep and you follow and you stick the way that you should, keep close to God, keep his statutes, his commandments and that, you know what? Everything that God has said it'll be fulfilled. You can guarantee it. But also, another very important part is continuing in verse 4. If your sons take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart, with all their soul, he said, you shall not lack a man on the throne of Israel. What is that saying? Solomon, you do all of this. You're going to be leaving a wonderful legacy. Now, that being said, I got to drink another, 30 minutes to go. That being said, though, of course, our goal, okay, in life should not be, I want to make sure that people know about me, when I'm gone. I mean, and that's the basis for one of Casting Crowns songs, okay? I don't want to leave a legacy. I don't want people to know me, and that I want people to know God what goes along with that too, if people are going to remember you as a Christian, okay, or as in this case with Solomon, when you leave, especially Solomon being a king, there will be, no matter what, you are a king of Israel, Solomon. You are going to leave behind a legacy. No matter what, there will be a legacy left behind. What will it be? What will you be known for? When you think of King Solomon, what do you think of? You think of his great wisdom. That is one of the biggest things in the church when we think of Solomon, is his great wisdom and how he had asked God to give him wisdom, okay? And that is what we need to have, is that this legacy, we're going to leave behind a legacy. For me as a father, my legacy, one day when I am gone, Derek and Penelope, what are they going to say about me? Will they say, he read his Bible every day. I saw him pray every day. My dad loved God. In other words, what they're saying, they know this about me, okay? Through that, they are praising God. God was Dad's number one. Because of that, God is my number one. That is what our legacy, that's what we need to strive for our legacy. So real quick, just to finish up here, we'll read the next few verses. These are David's, you could say, other requests, or a little bit of info that he's giving to Solomon, or reminding him of these situations to make sure they're taken care of. Verse 5, moreover, you know also what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me, and what he did to the two commanders of the armies of Israel, to Abner, the son of Ner, and Amasa, the son of Jether, whom he killed. And he shed the blood of war in peacetime, and put the blood of war on his belt that was around his waist, and on his sandals that were on his feet. Therefore do according to your wisdom, and do not let this gray hair go down to the grave in peace. But show kindness to the sons of Barzillai, the Gileadite, and let them be among those who eat at your table. For they came to me when I fled from Absalom your brother. And see, you have with you Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite from Bahurim, who cursed me with a malicious curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim. But he came down to meet me at the Jordan, and I swore to him by the Lord, saying, I will not put you to death with the sword. Now, therefore, do not hold him guiltless, for you are a wise man, and know what you ought to do to him. Bring his gray hair down to the grave with blood. Okay, so there are three men, in which case one of is the family of as well. Okay, first one, he says, look, Joab. Now, if you remember, Joab originally served David well. He was David's right-hand man. Okay, and very trusted, obviously, to be in that position. But then eventually he did as what was spoken of here, what David said that he had done, that Joab had done, killing a couple of commanders in the army of Israel, and all this is during peacetime and all of that. And not only did he kill them, but he did it in a way to boast and brag about it as well. Okay? It was not something he tried to hide. And because of this, David is telling or asking, okay, Solomon that, look, do not let this man just die of old age peacefully. Okay? Now this one, okay, you don't have to necessarily put him to death. Okay? We can see the difference between this one and then the last one that he said. Okay? You don't necessarily put him to death, but essentially, there needs to be some form of punishment here. Okay? He needs to know he needs to fully know and understand what he did was wrong. And then he was showing, you need to show kindness to Barzillai, and that would be the ones that, would have been his family as well, that had taken care of David when David was running from Absalom. Says, you need to take care of them. Not just show kindness, but take care of them. Okay? You are to support them when they need support. And then for the last one, who had the last man, this is one I said where you really see the difference, is that David is saying, this man cursed me. However, we won't go back to it tonight, but to look at it again, he said, look, I swore to him that I would not kill him. But what he did is punishable by death. So you need to now take care of this. Okay? And in this case, he says, but bring his gray hair down to the grave with blood. Okay? That's how we know the difference. The first one needs to be punished. This man needs to be put to death. Okay, for it. So that is the last of what we see with David and with his life and him speaking and that. Because the next couple verses, verse 10. So David rested with his fathers and was buried in the city of David. The period that David reigned over Israel was 40 years. 7 years he reigned in Hebron, and in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years. Then Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his kingdom was firmly established. Okay, so that is the end of David. Okay, that is the end of he has died at this point. He has been buried, and then it just gives, as we said, as we read here, that David was king for 40 years. And in verse 12, I just want to point out where it says, then Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his kingdom was firmly established. That what his kingdom being firmly established means that there was no rivalry, there was no debate of whether he should be king. Okay, it was not in a wartime. There was not a big, great divide in the city. Okay, it means everyone. He was firmly established. Everyone essentially agreed. He is the king. Okay, Solomon is the new king of Israel. Okay, so that is where we're ending tonight. Ending with David's death and finishing out being king for 40 years. Let's go ahead and close in prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for your word. Lord, I thank you for all that ended. And Lord, there's just so much meaning in these last words that we have recorded of David. David giving his son and giving the next king advice on how to lead your people, as well as how Solomon should live his life as well. And God, that we could have gone on so much longer in this advice that is given, gone so much deeper. But Lord, I just pray that as we looked at this tonight, and even though it's a father talking to his son. So the word man is used so much, Lord. I just pray that we all would not neglect any part of this, Lord. That everyone would just understand that every part of this is so important in our Christian lives. Being strong, having that courage in action, having the inner resilience, humility and love, keeping the charge of you, Lord. You know, what it is that you have given for us to do, keeping your statutes, keeping your commandments, your laws. Lord, all of this is so important. Lord, I pray that we would just take this, Lord, and most importantly, Lord, we would apply it to our lives. And that we would be, Lord, I just pray that we'd be reminded of these things throughout the week this week. And Lord, I pray for your blessing on the meetings that are this week and Wednesday night prayer meeting as well. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, everyone.